Right. So one thing that I can do is
सर आप म्यूट हो गए हैं।
जी सर, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
फैसल भाई,
सर
आपका
सर
पेपर पढ़ के मुझे बड़ा खुशी या सदमा हुआ है कुछ,
सर बस ऐसे ही समझे सर, आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट।
है ना? ओके, चलें देखते हैं।
नए कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं मिले आपको तो?
नहीं, मैंने बड़े सीखा है वैसे। आप लर्न बहुत नई थ्योरीज जो है ना वो मुझे मिली है। दिस टाइम आई हैव seen like not many new theories in the paper, right? Okay, I've learned a lot actually. Right. Okay, this is one way, like this is week one, but in that case, the length of this block would actually depict the length of activity as well. Like this is week two, right? This is one way of drawing the network diagram. And if you see this kind of thing, you would find in MS Project once you draw it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? This bar, length of bar would tell you the length of the activities, duration of the activities, right? And plus the language. So you see, plain network diagram is just sequencing. It does not tell you about the duration at all. After this, sequencing activities, the next thing comes is estimate activity duration, right? And if you remember the table that I've raised, the first thing was activity, then predecessor, then duration to draw a network diagram, right? If you see, to draw the network diagram, only these two things are enough. Yeah, predecessor and duration. Only these two. But then duration comes. This is required for critical path.
The two methods, CPM and part.
Yeah, these are the two methods, right? So we deploy that critical path method onto network diagram. Network diagram is a separate thing, right? It does not tell you about your duration or project duration or the floor or anything.
They just tell you the sequence.
They only tell you us the sequence and graphically.
Not expression, but that is the same.
Yeah, that is it. So after we estimate the duration, we apply the critical path method using that duration and this logic of the network, and we find the critical path, right? So that thing should be clear. So the next thing is, let's say that is defined or determine actually the schedule. Actually, this will give you the schedule baseline. And how do we check that? Obviously, using a critical path method, we will, in this process, in determining the schedule, we deploy that critical path method, right? So we'll study all this in more detail. Like so far, you only know how to draw a network diagram using finish to start relationship. That's it. But what about finish to finish? What about start to start? What about lead and lags? Right? So if you introduce all these things into network diagram, then how does it appear?
That is just a negative value.
Negative value is a positive. क्या बात है? अब देखने भाई सर का। नहीं सर, असल में मुझे वो embarrassment ही होती है कि आप इतने सीनियर हैं आप। मतलब I should be on the king. I should be on taking and right. So वो अब नहीं जाती सर।
इधर मैं हमारे को पूरा मदद करता है कभी। He can be young.
By the way, हमारी वाली थी।
Sir, Javeria, पूछ रही पेपर चेक हो गई।
Ma'am Javeria, are you there? Can you read this? Are you there?
No, sir. No, sir. We are getting a blank screen.
Okay, ma'am, I cannot read this. I brought your paper specially. Decipher था मेरे पास. Okay. Okay. So these are the processes in scheduling, right? But remember one thing. This estimate of activity duration, it is dependent on so many things. It is dependent on estimate of resources. It is dependent on estimate of cost. Like if you deploy, let's say 2 resources on this, 2 human resources on this, or let's say 4 human resources on this, the duration is less than 10 days. Right? But what if you require 2 resources on that? What will the duration there be? Maybe double. Okay, maybe double or more than that, right? And if I deploy, like these are 4 internees, and these 2 are experts, obviously then it would not be doubled maybe. However, there would be an effect on the cost as well. Similarly, these are manual human resources. What if I deploy machinery or software on that? Things would be quicker, but cost would go high. So that means the estimate of duration is dependent on estimate of cost and estimate of resources. So these 3 estimates go hand by hand. Is that clear? Kyle, is that clear? Okay.
Sir, please repeat कर दीजिए point.
Ji, ma'am, I'm saying that right now here in the scheduling process, we are studying or we will study the estimate activity duration process, right? How to estimate the duration of every activity of the project. However, I'm telling you that this estimate would depend on the estimate of cost as well as the estimate of resources. Or in other words, you may also say that my duration estimate would affect the cost estimate as well as the resources estimate, right? These 3 estimates go hand by hand, and combined together, they give us some cost to perform a certain activity in a certain time using certain resources. Is it clear? Okay, so this is what
22 process groups प्राए थे
Sir, sir.
उसमें determine schedule and budget इस
Sir.
वजह से इसके साथ रखा हुआ
हाँ,
है schedule
बहुत कुछ exactly because ये इकट्ठा ही होता है हमेशा। मैं अभी आपको दिखाता हूँ how it is done, right? अभी I will see this slide. Actually, I prepared that slide and I taught this thing to my first semester students. You must have seen it, but आप ज़रा नहीं थे. Okay, now if you see here, the first is plan the schedule management, and it will give me a schedule management plan. Just we got 2 plans here, scope management plan and the requirement management plan. And if you remember, here we got a cost management plan, right, in the first semester. Then defining the activities, then sequencing the activities, then estimate active duration, and then develop the schedule. Is it clear? Okay, then here, this you have already studied in the cost. Estimate cost, again, you see this estimate and this estimate. These are linked. And then we determine the budget. How this all is done, you have already seen it, whatever I'm going to show you in coming slides, right? But let me first give you a brief here. Now I begin here so that people sitting online, they can also study. So the project schedule management, planning, this will cover in detail over a period of 6 weeks, lecture 11 onwards. Is it clear? Okay, but for now, if you see, there are 3 planning processes, actually 5 that we have seen, the 2 are on the next slide. Plan schedule management, it will give me a schedule management plan, correct? Here, as an output. The next is defining the activities, it gives me activity list, then activity attributes. Now, and milestone list, what do we mean by activity attributes? We'll study it later, but in simple terms, the start date, the end date, the lag associated with any activity, the predecessor or successor of that activity or something. So that means characteristics or different features of that activity, right? So even activity duration is one of the attributes of that activity. Software people, they understand the attribute of is there any software that is also one of the attributes of that means characteristics or features of that activity, right? Or details about that activity. And similarly, we get a milestone list. Then sequencing the activity, here we get a project schedule diagram or network diagram that you already know. Okay, then the activity durations are, determined, and you see, just like cost estimate, here we get the duration estimate and the basis of estimate. I hope you remember in the cost,
Yes.
we got cost estimates as well the basis of estimate. Okay, and then developing the schedule, here we get the schedule baseline. Now, what is difference between project schedule and schedule baseline? Can someone tell me? Ji.
सिर्फ स्केड्यूल बेसलाइन जो अप्रूव हो जाती है हमारे पास एक कंप्लीट स्केड्यूल आ जाता है
Okay.
और जो प्रोजेक्ट स्केड्यूल एक थ्योरेटिकल हमारे पास ड्यूरेशन हो जाएगी
तुक्का नहीं मारना ना
इसको बेसलाइन तो ये होती है जैसे स्कोप बेसलाइन है तो हमारे पास
You're right.
लाइन आ जाती है
Yeah.
ग्राफिकली हम
For
उसको
baseline, you're right. Okay, anybody from those who are sitting online, what is difference between schedule baseline and project schedule? Yeah, schedule for that matter.
The project's schedule may be a normal term for starting a project and ending in different phases.
Okay, I'm explaining, sir. If you allow me, rather than using whiteboard, let me use this. It will be easier for all of them, right? So now, if you see what is difference between project schedule and the schedule baseline. Let's say this is a task. Actually, I'm not teaching you for scheduling because I have to teach it later on. I'm teaching it to you. This point, this is going to help you in MS project, right? So I'm teaching it you from that perspective, right? So let's say, sorry, this is one activity. This is the next activity, right? And this is another activity here. Please ignore this line. This will take some time, but it's going to help you a lot actually. Let's say this is my baseline. This is my actual. This is actual, right? People sitting online, this is actual. And this is my, let's say, project schedule, right? Now, this is activity A. This is B. And this is C, right? And let's say, people sitting online, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's say,
Yes, sir.
please note it down with you somewhere. Let's say the start date of first activity is 1st January. And it's ending on 15th of January, let's say, right? And this activity is starting on 16th and ending on 31st, correct? Then 1st of Feb, and let's say 15th of Feb, it's ending. Is it clear to everyone? I'm assuming that the activity A is starting on 1st January and it's going to finish on 15th of January. The next activity I may write it's 15 or 16, right? So I'm writing it 16 for ease. And it is ending on or finishing on 31st of January. And then 1st of Feb till 15th of Feb.
This is the finish to start it.
This is finished part, right? So now let's say this is my activity A. Sorry. Activity A. This is B. This is C. Again A, B, C, and again A, B, and C, right? It's not working. Okay, C is there. Now, let's say this is my start, and this column is for finish. Here, right? Please ignore these bad drawings. Okay, so now kids, let's say this is baseline. Baseline is the approved version, isn't it?
yes sir.
So that means the approved start date of activity A is 1st January. And its approved finish date is, and here it would be 16, and here it would be 31, and here it would be 1st Feb and 15th of Feb. I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, now
Yes, sir.
this would be locked. This is a snapshot of what is approved. But are you sure that actually my project would start on the same date? It may be or it may not, right? So now we assume that the first activity luckily started on the same date. And I said that the start date of actual start now, this is actual. Actual start of A is also 1. However, the actual finish is 20th of January. This activity was delayed. This activity was delayed by 5 days because of any reason. So now actually it will affect the schedule of my project. It will affect the rest of the schedule. The schedule is updated automatically based on actual values. Project schedule is not locked. So because of this delay, Because of this delay, now the project schedule for the next activity is 21st January would be its start. And 5th of Feb would be its finish now. So that would move everything like, sorry. I'm sorry. This will move everything. This will push all the activities forward, right? So that means project schedule is indicating the current status, the current plan of the, in terms of schedule. It is when my, plan is fed with the actual data, accordingly, my schedule will move forward. And that's where you see the power of MS Project actually, right? For example, an activity had to be started on 23rd of January, 23rd of December, and there a delay of 5 days occurred. Now you might be thinking, oh, 25th of December till 1st of January are my winter holidays. On my project calendar, I've declared them off. And then 1st January is Saturday, that's again an off, and 2nd January is Sunday, again and off. So MS Project will take care of that automatically, obviously. Otherwise, all the time you'll have to consider these things. Okay, when Sunday is falling, when Saturday is falling, and accordingly you will shift the activities forward or backwards. But so project schedule is the live plan of the live schedule of the project, and baseline is raw. Is it clear? And actually, if you see here, one very interesting fact that you might wish to observe.
Sometimes you have to seize the activity as well.
Yeah, sometimes. That also, no. Exactly.
Excuse me, sir.
जी मैम.
सर फिर प्रोजेक्ट बेसलाइन और प्रोजेक्ट स्केड्यूल के बेसलाइन जो हम डिसाइड करते हैं ब्लॉक.
Sorry, दोबारा बोले.
सर प्रोजेक्ट बेसलाइन में और प्रोजेक्ट स्केड्यूल में फिर डिफरेंस क्या आ जाएगा?
प्रोजेक्ट स्केड्यूल तो साथ के साथ अपडेट होता रहता है ना.
अपडेट होता रहता है सर. फिर हम बेसलाइन को भी तो लॉक नहीं करते हैं ना.
नहीं लॉक होती है. बेसलाइन वंस अप्रूव्ड इट इज लॉक. फिर आप चेंज रिक्वेस्ट करते हो जब आपकी वेरिएशन इतनी ज्यादा, ये हम पढ़ेंगे जब वेरिएंस थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट से बाहर चली जाती है. व्हेन योर वेरिएंस इन स्केड्यूल इट क्रॉसेस द थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट, then a corrective action is required, right? So now let's say if you see the same example, actually it is erased because of I switched the screen. So let's say now because of the delay, the first activity or the second activity now will be started on 20th of January, right? Now if you see, according to the baseline, the start date of activity B was 15th of January. But according to the project schedule, its start date is 20th of January, right? And in between was actual. And for activity A, the finish date was 15th of January, but actually it was finished on 20th. So here, if you compare the actual with the baseline, it will tell you your variance. Correct? And that is looking back towards your plan. How much variance has occurred so far? But if you want to see the future, okay, whatever variances have occurred, now what is my future plan? That would be indicated by the project schedule. It will tell you that, okay, when a particular activity is going to start now, according to or considering all the delays that have occurred. Is it clear?
Of crashing or time.
Exactly. Look, when the variance crosses our threshold limit, we need to do something about it. Either it would be crashing the schedule, maybe, right? Or it could be simply revising your baseline. And it is not possible to finish the project in the given deadline. I've tried everything, and then the last resort is revising your baseline. Right, and once you revise, everything will come as planned. Right? Okay. So this was all about schedule. What about project cost management planning? You've already studied it, but I would like to just quickly go through a few examples. One thing is the cost management plan. It is an output of plan cost management, right? And then estimate, again, like schedule estimate, we get this cost estimate and the basis of estimate. And here we get the cost baseline and project funding requirements and everything else, right? We covered it. Like now, these are the components of cost management plan that you have already studied. Unit of measure, level of precision, level of accuracy, organizational procedure links, control thresholds, rules of performance measurement, everything you have studied. And since I've taught you, I'm sure
Yes.
that this was taught to you, whether you studied it or not. Then reporting formats and additional details, right? Okay.
सर प्रिसिशन और एक्यूरेसी का डिफरेंस सर
हमेशा फंसते हैं हम, बिल्कुल ऐसे ही. Okay, so now this is the OTS project, the online teaching system project, right? This was my first assignment of project cost management when I was student.
we start the OTS में
OTS, the online teaching system. I actually was teaching online classes across the world, and I required a proper software for that because everything was going random. So this is the scope description of that project. But let me, just to recall things, you have already studied it. There has to be a website, right, through which you log into that system, whether you are a teacher like me, like you do in the Delhi website as well, right? And whether you are a student. Then a learning management system, like the one you have, where I have different classes, different teachers are associated with that. And then an online teaching platform like MS Teams. Now, MS Teams have camera where I can control the things as a teacher, right? I can invite people, they can get the control and other things like camera, whiteboard, or other features, right? If someone has a question, he or she can raise the hand. So our online teaching platform. So this was the third thing that I wanted, but obviously if I tried to have my own independent, online teaching platform, it would have been very costly. So I just requested the developer that please get a license of an already established like Skype, Zoom, or MS Team. Take 1 year license for let's say 500 users at a time, concurrent users, right? And then embed that thing into this, right? And then the fourth deliverable was the user manuals. From the scope statement, I prepared these 4 deliverables. That is part of the scope statement, you may say. Correct? Okay, then what? This is the WBS. But this is one of the deliverables, second, third, and fourth. And each of them were broken down like for website. The first was design, then development, then testing, and then let's say hosting. Work packages, right? So I just kept it simple. And now, what is this? You see, from the work package, what I'm doing? I'm defining the activities, right? So here, this is my work package. First one, the second one, the third, and the fourth one. And this is first activity 1, 2, and 3. These 3 activities combined together complete this work package, right? And these 3 activities combined together complete this work package. These 2 activities combined together complete this, and so on.
schedule now, scheduling.
Yeah, I have entered the schedule. From this, the moment you define activities, that means you have come out of the scope now, and you have entered into the schedule management process group, right? Oh, sorry, the knowledge area. Okay. So now, once done, so this is defining the activities. Clear? Then what next? Predecessor. This is sequencing the activities. Then this is activity duration. Correct? Okay. So we'll do the same for all of the work packages. Clear? Okay. So what is this now? Based on the baseline. This is the schedule. The simple, if I type this, this is the. If I show the relationships here, this simple Gantt chart is called as the schedule baseline. Actual schedule baseline looks like this, that you would see on the MS Project baseline, right? Okay, so this is my, let's say, Gantt chart of the schedule baseline. Is it clear? So define activities, sequence
Find duration.
Duration activities, duration estimate, and then developing the schedule. Correct? Schedule is done. Then comes the cost. And what is the first thing for cost? After the preparing a cost management plan, what do? Estimate the cost. Estimate the cost, right? Okay.
First is plan cost management, second is estimate.
Estimate the cost. So here, I will estimate the cost of each activity. This is first activity, second, third, fourth, right? And this is cost of every activity. This requires, let's say, this much HR cost, this much station cost, this much, let's say, shared cost, this much cost. Combined together, this is the estimated cost of first activity, estimated cost of. So if I add all these activities cost, this is my total budget. Or the baseline, whatever.
All deliverables.
Order, right? And if I see total HR cost, it's here. Total station cost, total shared cost, total contingency cost, it's here. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then, what next? Now, what is this? If you look at this, this is the most interesting part.
The total budget. Total budget of
What I'm doing here, I'm trying to map the cost estimate with my schedule baseline. Correct? So here, the first activity was planned in October, last 10 days of October, if you remember.
Performance measurement baseline.
Yeah, that would be called as performance. If you see in October, we had 3 activities. And then here we had 3, 4, 5 activities. So its cost estimate was 3,000. So that means I require 3,000 for this in October, 3,100 for this, and so on. Right? So I'm combining now the schedule baseline with my cost estimates. If you see, so 3,000 was the estimate here, 3,000 in October, this, and there were a few other activities in October. These were the activities in November. So when I add them up, this is total funding requirement for October, for this month only, this one, and for this month, and so on.
This is time based.
And this is time phase. Now, this is time phase, monthly estimates. But if I get the cumulative values, that will help me in preparing the cost baseline. Right? So this is what we did actually in the cost management. And now on your faces, I can see how much you studied or how much you retained that knowledge. Welcome. आपको तो है, आप क्यों करके हैं? Right? So you see, how did we start our upfront planning? We prepared we defined 2 things: the life cycle and the development of the 2 things. Okay, the 2 things, right? And then the scope planning, retirement management plan, and the scope management plan that give and defining the scope. Sorry, gathering the requirements and defining the scope, and then WBS, and from that point on, defining activities, sequencing the activities, activity and then developing the schedule. Then cost estimate, then the cost baseline, determine budget or whatever, right? So this is what we have done so far. Now the next thing is, thank God, we'll have a break after 10 minutes, right?
6:45.
Chale, 6:45. Okay, we'll have a break at 6:45, right? So that, and then we'll have a break of maybe 40 minutes, right? Chale. Okay, what about plan quality management? Before I do this, let me go back. Online, are you awake?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right, now if you see, we are done with the first part. Actually, partially, we are working on it still, because everything that we'll get from this point, it will go and become a part of project management plan, right? So we are done with this part. We are, like I'm saying, that we've got an overview of it, but we'll study this thing over a period of 6 weeks. Then followed by the cost planning that we have already covered. And then it comes the quality management plan. Again, this is a complete course of, there's a complete course of project quality
Yes.
in the third semester, right? But still, we'll spend maybe 1.5 hours on this topic, and we'll try to see what all is there. Correct?
Basically cover the cost of quality aspects.
No, sir. Overall quality. Too many things. And cost of quality is one of the things, right? So I'll try to spend some time on this slide, and then I'll move forward. Right. I would just request you guys to please spend some time. I've already requested this lot many times, and see and try to learn this table. This is very important. This is very important, right? This will give you the overall concept of complete project management. Okay, so here, my focus is right now, my focus is the quality management. If you see the process on the top in execution, like we'll finalize our plan, it will be approved, and then we'll enter into the executing process now, correct? Once we have prepared the plan, the next thing is to execute that plan, right? In execution, if you see, there's a process on the top, which is named as direct and manage project work. Direct and manage project work. So all the project work is done here. If you remember, I had been emphasizing on one point, and that is, you know that there's one aspect of project that is called a scope. You need to manage the time as well. You need to manage the cost as well. He was my HR minister superintendent.
PM?
2015, right? So he was my teacher. Actually, he became the director of CPAC during our course. During the class, and the prime minister was to speak. If the director was and Hassan Iqbal was there, right? So उसके बाद सारा हमारे हाथ में है. He got too busy. Check out and he had realized was like that. Okay. Anyways, direct and manage project work. Direct and manage project work. I was telling you that this is a process, this knowledge area is about the project manager role. Well, it is project manager who integrates everything that is done under this, right? There are people who are looking after the scope, there are people who are looking after the schedule, there are people who are looking after the quality, cost, everything, and it is the project manager who sees the combined effect of everything. Correct?
Yes.
So if you see, direct and manage project work. So who manages it? Who directs the work? Project manager. According to the plan that is finalized here. And this plan, if you see, is an integrated version of everything that is done here. Correct? So as a result of this, direct and manage project work, what do we get? There are many things that we get. But in general, what?
Guidelines.
Huh?
If the guidelines you need these plans.
So in plans as a result of this work, when we'll do some work, one thing is deliverable, very nice, right? So let's talk about deliverables first and cover them 2-3 other things that I need to highlight. Okay, then let's say, what do you think how these deliverables will be produced or how this work will be done? Randomly? Like everybody, whatever wants to do, or where there will be a defined process for it.
There will be defined process.
Right. So define the process, how things would be done. Let's say, take an example of a construction project. Okay, when we will receive our material, will we carry out any test on that or not? Let's say I've received a truck of bricks or blocks. So do I need to check its strength? And yes, if yes, what is the procedure of that? So we define a process that whenever a truck would be unloaded, we'll take out randomly 10 bricks and we'll try to apply some force on it and we'll try to test it just to check its strength. And if we get this one, this is this is what you will study in MEC. That is a very detailed, good subject. Like it's a lengthy subject, but you're going to study a lot many things, right? So we'll define a scale, predefined scale again. If out of 10 bricks that I have tested, if let's say these many pass the test, we'll consider or we'll accept all the bricks in the truck. If not, we'll reject it. Is it clear? So who will define, or when this process is defined, how things would be done? This is the role of quality management plan. Right? So how things are done. So one thing that we'll do in the quality management plan is to prepare the processes or to define the processes. But these processes are not defined randomly. There's a logic behind that, and we'll study. Okay. So once things would be or work would be done on the project, during that, there would be some quality people who will have all the instructions with them that would be prepared actually before that in the quality management plan. They will be having those instructions in the guide here, and they will see, okay, now truck has arrived, okay, this is passed, cement tested, passed, sand tested, passed, then touch, okay, everything passed. Now the next thing is to mix them. So how many bags of cement with how many bags of what would be the ratio? There would be an inspector, a quality inspector, quality assurance staff who would be standing there, okay, mix this, okay, fine, mixed. So he will have some kind of checklist, a predefined process. This is how things would be mixed. This is how things would be poured. And then this, for this much time, it would be left for curing. Correct? So all this process from beginning to end is defined in the quality management plan. Plus, it is also defined that how many people will observe, will assure that this process is followed. Quality assurance staff, team, they would be standing on their heads, right? To ensure that whatever process was defined here, it is followed as well. And how to follow, there has to be some mechanism. Okay, who will check it? How many times he or she will check it? And if things are not found that way, then what we do?
Frequency and everything is also there.
Also there, their checklist, their check sheets, their performance, right? And what if they are following the process? Okay, we are following the process. There is a ma'am who she keeps coming here. She might be here sometimes. Like who allots this room to us? She comes and checks that if classes are being conducted on time. We are signing. You are coming here. We are marking your attendance. Everything is done. But do you think? I don't think. But do you think that this process, despite of the fact that we are following a process, is it being effective or not? Are you learning something from your papers? I guess no. Okay. So then what do we need to change our processes? If yes, how to change them? Again, correct? So that means in quality management plan, we define the processes. We also defined how to assure or how to ensure that these processes are followed. Any matrices, any checklist, any documents, any reports that a quality person will come and see, okay, this is missing, something like that. Checklist or something, check sheet, right? Tally sheets are also called, like there are 10, 12 tools that we study in the exam, right? Okay, then, despite of the fact that we are following, still things are not getting, we are not getting that result. That means we need to do something about it. Again, this plan. Is it clear? Okay, now, as a result of this, there was a quality person who had everything, like people knew the process. There's a quality person who ensured that process, and we got deliverables, right? But still, you know, despite the fact we ensured everything, but still we need to check the deliverables. So we need to carry out midterm exams, right? To evaluate that, okay, despite all those checks, are we getting the desired output or not? So we will get some deliverables, and those deliverables would be sent to control quality. Is it clear? To control quality for monitoring. Before we send it to the customer, our own quality team, our own quality department, maybe sometimes they are part of the team, sometimes there's a centralized department, as is the case with the procurement. There could be a centralized procurement department, right? They will check. Now, how would it look like in on actual project? We ensure actually the doors. Now you see here, I wish if I could show you the procurement part. This work was done outside the, our team or our organization. So there too, our quality teams would go and monitor that work. Right? Okay. So now we have received it. The only thing we need to check it. Before I call the customer, I will check it myself. But how to check that? How much gas is accepted? What finish or how to test the finish of this? Correct? So this all is defined here in the plan that how things would be tested, what is acceptable business limit, we call them as control limit control charge rate. So everything is defined there. And if it passes, then what? Now here, either we call it as deliverable, and here if it passes, it will be called as verified deliverable. The QC pass, right? Verified deliverable. And if it doesn't, then we'll send it back for rework. And rework would require extra budget that would come from the management reserves if you have not kept any festival. Otherwise, you will get that from the contingency reserves, right? If you have kept that contingency. Is it clear? Okay, so rework or then come back or directly verify. Once verified, we would like to call the customer, right? Come, your doors have arrived, or we have prepared this, please come and visit us. And accept it now. So we'll get out that requirement traceability matrix. Do you remember that? We'll do that test. Okay, that test would come from this point maybe, or maybe from here. Correct? And then if passed, that customer will give the acceptance of that. Right?
So they validate scope is for the product and it is higher from this scope statement, and the control scope is for the project and
Project
not the baseline.
Baseline, exactly. Very right, sir. Okay. At least these 2 hours, right? Okay. Back in paper checking, right? I've checked only 3 questions. That was disaster. Okay. Right. Okay. Now, so you see, this is what is done, or what is the disposal of all the deliverables that we get. Other than that, we also get the data, the raw data. For that, I will share. I've already shared a lecture with you guys, and I'll share it again. Right? What is work performance data? Do you remember that? WPD? Obviously, no. You don't remember the cost that I taught you primarily. What to talk about WPD, WPI?
WPI and WPD.
People, right?
Information and 1% data.
So I'll share that lecture again. Please watch it. It's actually it's going to describe so many things for you, right? So, anyways, my point here was to control. Now, if you link it with the control quality with the procurement process, well, you outsource some work. Now, this is important. Please try to understand it. Right? This is for those who want to enjoy the project management knowledge, right? Let me see. If you have outsourced some work to another organization. That organization will create their own charter.
Yes.
Right? They will make their own project plan. So they will do work for you. Correct? So if you see, they will prepare the doors for me, and then their quality department will check it. Then they will call me. Right?
Yes.
So when we are in the control procurement process, what do? We go or we call the customer, we check their deliverable. Actually, at that time, we are in the control procurement process, and that organization is in the validate welfare. No, ये बारीकी अगर समझ आ गई क्या तरतीब करते हैं, ये समझ आ गई है तो बस मेरे पैसे पूरे हो गए, right? This is important. That actually gives you an understanding of the cascaded version of projects. जहाँ पे बहुत सारी चीजें outsource हुई होती हैं. Correct, sir?
Yes.
Did you get it? No.
So you said control quality is done within your team.
Mhm.
Yeah, but verified is also within your team. Once you verified, you call your customer. point.
Correct. And then customer would come
Yeah.
and check that our team has checked now, it's verified for our team.
Yeah.
You come and you see it.
Yeah.
If customer accepted, then it would become a validated deliverable.
Yeah.
Verified and now validated.
Now validated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So after that, I talk about something else. I'll share that lecture with you guys. Please watch it. Sir, आप last में देखिएगा वो आपको अच्छा लगेगा. WPD, the data comes from here, or change requests come from here. Like, okay, we are trying to do, but things are not improving. Either we realize it here, or we realize it from the result of QC. Every time that things are getting back, they are not being accepted. What does it mean? Like, first score is bad, midterm bad, assignment bad. So that means there's something bad, either with me or with you, or actually obviously with you.
Because it is always.
Yes, nice. But actually, this time, you know, I was expecting more.
सर तो आज मैं सोच रही थी आपके
Have you checked all the papers, sir?
Only 3 questions of all.
हमें ये नहीं बताया कि आप इस सेक्शन में आप सिलेक्टेड किए हैं जैसे हमने उसमें बताया था कॉस्ट
No, so नहीं, लेकिन वो इस दफा एक ही पढ़ा रहा हूँ स्केड्यूल
हमारा
वो कॉस्ट नहीं पढ़ना लेकिन एक आप चेक वन सेक्शन में तो पूरा कर ली पता नहीं क्या चक्कर है So if I ask you now, what do you think? What all is done in the quality? You know, or everything that we do in the planning. Here we have only one process, that is plan quality management. And I told you, all the plans, they tell you what, how to execute. Means during the execution, what processes to be followed, how to ensure that those processes are followed, and then what is the mechanism of process improvement. Correct? Okay. Then what about control quality? How the quality would be monitored and controlled, how things would be rejected, and then again, data comes from control quality back to managed quality, because based on the, you know, I will give feedback to my quality assurance staff in the managed quality. This is what is performance is going to be. Either you are sleeping or your processes are not working. Correct? Because there are too many rejections. Okay, so we'll meet again at what time?
7:20.
ठीक हो गया जाए.
Ma.
Right? Is that okay? Hello.
Like exam result is not is not level of his expectation.
The studying that it's just 2 papers, but that was not so good. Not so good so far. Maybe next paper. Yeah, good paper will come, then the standard will go up.
That's for sure.
Record time? Next time? Including
这次这个
You are seeing today's match, Iran and oh, so good.
Oh, yesterday got the Brazil with the oh my god. That
Two
was
matches were very impressive. One was the Saudi Arabia and the Argentina.
Saudi Arabia with Argentina.
Wales and Iran. You've seen Wales and Iran?
No, I slept.
So good, so good.
क्लास में कल हम एक मैसेज तो आया वही ना पढ़ना में आधी रात
ये
मैंने क्लास छोड़ दिया था अस्सलाम वालेकुम
भाई आ जाओ मौत यार
我操 Tomorrow class will be online.
सर आप क्लास में
Break.
सर रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन है, अगर इसको आप बेसिक पॉज कर दें।
सभी चाय भी है।